Welcome to the bottom line. My name is Benjamin Poole.
Gareth Soloway right here, baby. Let's do this today.
Awesome.
Huh?
We've got some exciting news for you today.
We do.
Oh my gosh. What about Nvidia?
Dude, nice little dip the last couple days. I mean, I think it's back to where it was
dip?
like 2 days ago.
Oh my gosh, that was a fall. What are you talking about? It's like down like 10%, right? In one day?
That's true, but what was it up for the week going
That's
into
a
that?
good
I mean,
point.
but
That's a good point.
either way, I'll take it.
Yeah,
We'll take it.
Could be a topping tail
Plus,
on the
it
weekly,
gave us
right?
some trades, right? I mean, that's the thing is these semiconductors, for us that are in the Apex Live day trading room, any sort of volatility like that just gives us opportunity to make money with people in there, and that's what we ask for, the volatility.
That's right.
So-
And so hopefully now that we've got some options X over,
That's right.
then we can start getting more volatility coming up. And then
Eventually, earnings season
season's coming up.
That's going to be big, man.
It's gonna be huge.
I heard a little birdie saying something about a new earnings service where you're going to be trading earnings, but we won't get into that now. But it's going to be pretty darn cool.
It's going to be pretty awesome.
Awesome.
Cool. So why don't we get in the charts?
Let's do it.
What do you
All
got
right.
on the docket for us?
So we got to look at this dollar yen here, and again, this is one of those big ones, folks, because dollar yen is spiking again today. We had a breakout on a closing basis yesterday, highest close since 1986, believe it or not. And remember, the dollar yen chart tells us how, when it goes up, it tells us that the yen is weakening against the dollar, right? So the yen continues to weaken. It's starting to spike almost vertically. Will Japan come in and essentially, as the U.S. would put it, manipulate their currency to control this move? And the U.S. yesterday labeled Japan as a potential currency manipulator. They didn't say they are, they just said they're on the watch list. So the point being here is that this might not seem like a big deal to most of us, but this is the backbone. Like once you get into these currencies of different countries and everything's tied to debt, right? Because to support their currency, Japan would ultimately dump U.S. bonds and dollars, and that can have repercussions over here. So there's like a lot going on here that I want us to watch. Basically the level now, right? So we've already taken out the highest close right here. Dang, this board's been annoying lately. But all right, so we have this highest close here. Then your next level is right up here, which was the last intervention. And that's not very far away, folks. I mean, that's really coming up. So if there's one thing you take from this little segment, it's just understand that there's more risk than just, oh, it's the dollar yen, who cares about it? No, this is big, folks. This is probably bigger than like an Nvidia earnings report in that respect. I know it sounds crazy, but it is. All right, Ben, over to you.
Well, I was going to say,
Oh,
you're
yeah.
also going into a time count, right?
That's right.
You get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days up in a row. So that's
maybe a pullback coming soon.
It could be a pullback.
Or maybe a pop into this and then the pullback.
Yeah, and so then that's going to be some support right
Yep.
there as it starts pulling back.
That's wonderful, man. So anyways, let's watch that chart. Ben, what do you got over here?
I have
Let's keep it going.
Chipotle. Wow. Chipotle. I did the measurement on Chipotle, and unfortunately, this isn't actually a topping tail. Now, the reason this is not a topping tail, and I did put an article saying it was, because it's pretty close, but the body of this candle is a little, oh, got my mustache still on there, is a little bit too high right here. So the body is in above the 50% mark for a topping tail. So unfortunately, it is not a topping tail. However, this is a really good reversal on Chipotle Mexican Grill. So you had this upsloping trend line right here. It broke out above it. And so now what I expect, now that we've got this top in, a retrace is scene of crime. The really interesting thing is you've got the 618 right here at 24.21. So, and then you've got this upsloping trend line. I can see in Chipotle coming back down to retest this scene of the crime. You're going to get a lot of support on that level. So something to watch for. Now, would I play this Chipotle as a topping tail? Absolutely. This is on the weekly time frame. So if it were to retrace right back to the midline, I would actually play this as a topping tail, and I would short it probably down to the 618 retrace. So this would be a great swing trade. Yeah, it's looking very, very, very top heavy.
All right, jump over here. Let's go over this chart right here. Bitcoin down under pressure today, guys. So look at this upsloping trend line. And again, if you've been following the game plan, you know that I've had a lot of other lines, but I wanted to simplify it for the bottom line today so we can get to the bottom line. But here, in any case, you can see there's a trend line right down here, and this is the one that we just saw a breakdown of, right? So we have this little pivot low right down here on the chart. Here it connects right through this lowest point, and look, we've now broken below that. So this does make Bitcoin vulnerable. All right, generally when we were hovering above this line, it looked like bullish consolidation. You could still make that case, right? I mean, maybe it's still inside of this bigger move, but it does make it vulnerable to maybe a move down towards this lower 50 to 52,000 range, which really, if you connect these lines here, right? So this low here to this low, that's where you have that target. Now, again, I'm still waiting to see what the next day or so holds for this. Does it confirm the breakdown, which right now it would? But either way, Bitcoin showing some weakness in the chart. And I think the biggest thing in this is if the markets do pull back, and right now Nvidia is pulling back, markets are down a little bit today, not much, but if we get a bigger pullback, does that drag Bitcoin down? All I know is I'll tell you one thing. There's probably about a 90% chance that if we get down here, I will be a buyer right in this 50,000 range. There's a lot of support there. Now, granted, probably likely a swing trade, but still a good level. All right, I'm going to kick it back to Ben. Boom!
All right, here we go on Nvidia. I know you guys are all waiting for the Nvidia chart.
Of course.
So, I thought Gareth was going to bring it out, but he didn't, so it's on me. All right, so here is similar to the Chipotle chart. Right here is a 50% retrace. I mean, the 50% level for this, the high to the low. The body is still outside of the 50% in the upper range, which means that Nvidia weekly cannot be a topping tail either. Again, it's a really good reversal signal. And like I was mentioning on the dollar-yen chart, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 up days. Usually it reverses on the 7th, but this one, maybe this one is the best candle, so maybe we start here. But either way, this is a great reversal signal for Nvidia. Again, this is another chart that I would play at around the 50%. I would actually wait until it got to the red bar high for a potential swing trade on this, and then you can see some further downside. So the top is looking really good for Nvidia as far as
tag me in.
Yeah.
Boom. All right, right over here to our gold chart. We're getting some WWE action going here. We'll have to do some body slams later. But in any case, what we got here, guys, is gold. Now, gold had this beautiful move outside of this little downsloping trend line, and you had this bearish the channel right here. It closed above yesterday. Didn't confirm, though. The confirmation signal is number one. But look at what happened. Today, it's getting rejected, and you're getting reversal candle to the downside, putting us right back in here. So it looks like the bulls got kind of faked out here just a little bit. This is why I use confirmation. It was not a confirmed breakout, and we're going right back down here. And that means the bears are going to, assuming we close here on gold, and granted, there's still some time in the day, but really, if we close back down here, the bears retake control, and you have to start favoring again. Before we did that yesterday, this was favoring a down move. Once you got above here, it goes to neutral because it's unconfirmed. Now back in here, the bears take control, and the likelihood is further downside on gold. So really interesting. To be honest, surprised me a little bit to see that type of move on gold today, to see such a big down day after such a nice update, but that's what it is.
But this is looking good as far as like an inside bar pattern, right? So you've got this big red bar.
That's what it is, right?
Yeah, you got this big red bar candle. So you've got all these buyers who are sitting in here because in order to get a big red bar candle like that, you have a lot of selling pressure. But there means there's a lot of buyers stuck in there too.
That's right.
And so as this continues to move up in this bear pattern, you've got all these buyers who are saying, okay, well, I'm stuck in here. I don't like this. I feel terrible. So they're selling, which could actually lead to further downside. You do still have this support level right around the 2280 level, but if it breaks that, I think it's got a little bit further downside. This is a great bear pattern. So when you're trading inside bar patterns, one thing you can look for is this is kind of a measured move. So you take this move right here, and if you can get this at the high, you can take this exact same measurement for another red bar candle. So that's something interesting to watch for, to see if there's another red bar candle that mimics that red bar candle as well.
Absolutely. And then ultimately, if we do, let's just take it one step further. If we do break down here on the chart of gold, there's a very clear level right over here, which would be, oh, there we go. So see this flat consolidation. This is what I call a shelf. Because basically, if you were to drop something like a ball, it goes right down here and it kind of stays right there. So that technically should be some support in there. And if we draw that out, it's right around 2190. So if we do break this orange trend line that's right around here, right at these lows, that would be your pretty crystal clear next support. Doesn't mean it's not going to break there, but that would be where buyers likely would step up.
Well, that's where you would step up.
That's where I'll step up.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, seems like a great opportunity. Okay, so we have a Microsoft chart right here. So it's in an upsloping wedge pattern. So you've got this low right here, this pivot low, connected with this pivot low, and then it hasn't quite hit on the third time. So Microsoft right now, and you've got this pivot, kind of the wedge pattern on the upper end. So Nvidia is selling off, Microsoft is staying strong. We had this question of who do you think is going to be the largest market cap? I think it's going to be Microsoft. As you can tell, it's staying strong when the rest of the semiconductors are falling off the cliff. So if it can go back up, let me see where this level is. I'm going to zoom out just a hair. See here, give me one sec. Here it is. Okay, so my next level upside target would be $455.92. I would probably wait for a Pierce, probably right around 456 for a rollover. You're going to get some support right here because you got this green bar candle. But ultimately, I think it's going to come back down to right around the $400 level. This would be the third hit of this upsloping trend line. And so I actually do expect a further upside move just because it favors that. Probably stay in this wedge pattern a little bit longer until ultimately it decides which way it's going to go. It's either going to go to the upside and break out or downside and break down. But ultimately my target is 455 to 400 bucks.
Amazing,
so,
amazing.
Yeah, that's what I have on Microsoft.
All right,
it's
so
staying strong though.
It is staying strong. So let's talk some of these bigger names here, like Google, right? I mean, everyone talks about Nvidia these days, but I feel like some of these others aren't getting enough love. So we're going to take a look at Google here, or Alphabet. Take a look at this, guys. So notice how today Alphabet's getting a bid. It's likely because money flow is coming out of Nvidia, so it's looking for these other, or money flow is coming out and looking for these other big names. If you look at where Alphabet's been, it's kind of been sideways from this high, just going sideways, but now it's pushing up to almost, I think it hit a new all-time high today. But to me, looking at this chart, there's not a ton of upside. You have this line here, connect it right through this high right here, right through here, and the resistance is probably around 184 to 185. It's at 180 right now, so maybe a little bit more upside. And then let's take a look at Amazon. Amazon's an interesting chart here. You have this classic channel, and the biggest thing when I see a channel like this is what happens if it breaks. And if it breaks, watch out below. So right now it's still holding. Respect it, right? Because it's holding. You have this low here, these highs all along here, and then this secondary low and this third low here, and we kind of kissed it right there. But again, as long as it's in here, you have to respect it. It could go back up. It could rally like this. But if it breaks, that's where you get your bigger move down. So you really have a decisive trend line here to watch about which direction or which favorability. So again, as long as it's above support, you think, okay, maybe it floats up, that could happen, but if it breaks, that's where you can get that bigger breakdown of the channel and the pattern formation. All right?
I'm really liking that because you see the first hit of the trend line, you got the second hit, third hit, it tried to break below, and then you've got all this choppiness along the bottom edge. So if I would have to guess on which way that this chart was going to go, I would say this thing favors the downside. And if I was going to have a downside target, probably about 175 at least initially. And then I think this gap's already been filled, and so you're going to have this
one
candle right here.
That's a big
what
gap.
Is that level? Right around 160?
Yeah, I mean, that might be a little downswing, but like 160, 155 right in that vicinity.
Yeah, if this breaks,
that would be amazing, folks. To see
yeah,
a
if this
flush
breaks,
like that.
it should flush out pretty well.
Should.
Right? Okay, so then the next one we're going to talk about is Apple. Apple, again, another good weekly chart close. Although if this tail would have gone up a little bit more, oh man, this would have been beautiful, because then this could have been an actual topping tail. But unfortunately, it can't be a topping tail either on the weekly chart. However, it is in the upper channel. So you've got this hit, and this is a line that Gareth had drawn in, this trend line. So at 220, the even number, top of the parallel, so this is actually favoring the downside as well. So my downside target is 182.71. You've got this nice gap fill here. You might get a little bit of support depending on when it gets down there, but you got the midline of this parallel channel. And man, this midlines, they have, as you can see, it's been lots of choppiness right through the midlines. And so I think it's going to be great support. Combine that with this gap fill, and And yeah, it's a recipe for
Boom shakalaka.
a fall and then a nice bounce.
Nice, awesome. All right, kick it over to me. This is my last chart
Last
that I
chart,
have.
SMCI. Okay.
SMCI. I got to show you guys this one. This is the beauty of charts. And don't forget, folks, just go to verifiedinvesting.com. You got Trader's Edge, which Ben and Dr. B run. That's crypto. I've got my smart money ones, which is stocks, commodities, and ETFs. We got courses there.
Oh, you could join us in a live day trading room too if you want to.
Day trade. What do we have? 4 for 5 again
4
today?
for 5, yeah.
Incredible, incredible. But look at this. You have a head and shoulders here on this chart right over here. Classic head and shoulders. So we noticed this back here told us downside. It broke, it did get the downside. Then you get this incredible parallel channel. Look at how price, see, this is what we call the neckline right here, neckline. This is called the neckline of the head and shoulders. This is the left shoulder, the head, the right shoulder. All right, so look at, if you extend that neckline out, look at how price comes down, chops, retraces, rejected, right? Retraces, and where was the top yesterday before the rejection? Right back to that line. So you actually have a combination here of the head and shoulders with a parallel channel, which is the neckline is the top portion of that channel. In addition, what you want to do is you want to take the measurements. You want to know what the target is to the downside. At some point, this likely breaks to the downside. You take your highest point here, drop that plumb line down there. You take that distance and you replicate it from where it broke. Not where it is now, but where it broke, and you drop it down. And I believe the level, if I remember correctly, is right around 500, maybe just above 500. That should be a major target of SMCI. All right, so that's your chart. You got anything to add here?
No, it's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
Yeah,
Can I add
so
in a
much,
smiley face?
So much support right here. You can tell this parallel channel is a thing of beauty, right? So yeah,
dude,
I like
awesome. All right, let's see.
Cool. Thank you guys so much for joining us here at the bottom line. Please keep in mind that this is for educational purposes only. Please do your own research. And thanks again for joining us. And
that's the bottom line.